This account was created to provide information on how current immigration laws apply to certain factual scenarios. There are many, I suspect, who are worried about their immigration situation, but they're not sure if they should speak to an immigration attorney. Keep in mind, and I cannot stress this enough, that immigration law is unbelievably fact-specific. So even if you think that your situation is nearly identical to one of the ones that I go over here, you still need to speak to an immigration attorney personally. Even the smallest factual changes can make a big difference in the outcome. That said, this is not legal advice. I'm hoping this will merely help educate people as to how the immigration laws work, because I know there are a lot of anxiety exists in certain immigrant communities. Also, immigration laws and procedures will likely change quite a bit in the months to come. So what might be accurate and current at the time of this recording very well could change in the weeks to come, maybe even tomorrow. Okay, so I had someone reach out on social media, pretty vague question, but it's worth kind of talking about. The person has a green card, but they also have a criminal conviction. Okay. And they want to know if they can travel abroad outside the United States, basically. So how would you start with a question like that?
Okay, so I mean, it really depends on what the conviction is. That's kind of where we would start. So let's say if it's something minor, maybe a DUI, usually that doesn't cause a person to be removable and not inadmissible.
Yeah.
That, to me, should be safe. But the problem is, the minute you leave the U.S., no one can guarantee that you can come back in, or they won't give you a hard time.
Yeah.
We're not there with you at the airport. Even if we were, I mean, we can't, stop them from detaining you.
Right.
For 4, 6, 8 hours at LAX. So
yeah,
I mean, that's always, it's always a potential for, that to happen.
Yeah.
Right? Because if when they run your green card when you come back in, it could pop up that you were recently arrested, or you recently
you're going through biometrics, you're doing scans,
right.
Everything's going to pop up on their screen. So,
right. A conviction was, you have a conviction, so they might want to look into it closer. So that's the risk that you run. If you're okay with all of that, then I guess you can go.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you should be safe if it's something
minor. If you have a criminal conviction, the laws around what type of offenses make you deportable, what type of offenses make you inadmissible, those are two totally different things.
Right.
And what type of offenses have no impact at all.
Right.
If you have a green card, you can schedule a consultation with an attorney that knows this stuff, and they can look at your exact criminal record and they can say, that one's not a problem, that one makes you inadmissible, that, and give you a much more full assessment on, what could happen if you go out of the country. DUI is a simple one, but there are other ones that, drug possession, 100%, that can cause problems.
Right.
But getting kind of that full assessment, I think, is important if you're planning to travel, because just sitting at home and saying, well, I'm never going to go anywhere because I have a conviction, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But just willy-nilly jumping on a plane and being like,
which happens a lot, they just think it's very minor, like,
that was 15 years ago. I get that a lot, where people say, yeah, but that happened 15 years ago, or that happened 20 years ago, and it's like, that's not the way the immigration laws are written.
Right.
It doesn't matter if it happened 2 weeks ago or
30 years ago.
Yeah, 100%. So, and when we do an assessment like that, it is looking at, okay, when did the conviction occur? What were the laws at that time? They might have changed later. Right. So all of that kind of goes into it. So it is worth it to schedule, a time to kind of do a full assessment.
Right, and then make sure that you know what you're doing or getting yourself into before you leave.
100%, yeah. Because if you do you are putting yourself on the radar of CBP. It's I've had people too say, well, but I've renewed my green card.
Right.
Since I had that conviction, I've filed an I-90 and renewed my green card, and nothing came of that. That's not an indicator of what would happen if you travel.
The thing is, they don't understand, the more times you put yourself in their system.
Yeah. And the more times you have like an actual person sit there and look at your
And then there's also that one other issue is it a deportable or inadmissible crime? So if it's not a deportable crime but an inadmissible, like a minor theft, it's not a deportable crime by itself. So you might have renewed your green card, the last 2 times.
Right.
But
when you come to the border and say, I want to be let back in, that's where inadmissible
that's when they'll hit you with it. Yeah, because when it's not deportable, so they can't deport you, but then they can prevent you from coming back in and then deport you at that point.
And there are plenty of crimes that are both inadmissible and deportable crimes, but there are several that are just inadmissible crimes.
Right.
So you're safe while you're here because they can't kick you out based on that crime. But the second you leave and then apply for admission again, now you've got that issue coming up.
Right. And then also one of the big ones that people don't understand is you don't need a drug conviction to be inadmissible. So if you have like an arrest for a drug, that can potentially be
that can get you too.
That can get you too.
Okay.